and welcome back to Lex Reads. So, yet again, in today's video, we are doing another read a book in a day. When I tell y'all can't tell me nothing now that I can literally read a book in a day. I am just eating myself up, okay? But y'all know how the last book I read actually was by an Indian author. It was The Daughter of Maturai, right? So I was on Goodreads. You know how they have like recommendation books or whatever, or like if you liked the previous book or if you like this book, you'll probably like, another one. So I clicked on a book, and when I read the synopsis, I said, oh, I think I'm gonna like this. And I just assumed that it was by a black author. Actually, I assumed that it was by a African author. Okay, so the book is Dust Child, and the author, I had to write it down. You pronounce her name Nguyen Phan Que Mai. She's Vietnamese. But the reason why this intrigued me, y'all. Okay, so it's set from 1969 to like 2016. But it's talking about a topic that I didn't know about. First of all, it's talking about the Vietnam War, which I know a tiny bit about, okay? You have three main characters. The first character is they're two sisters named Young and Quay, and it's set in 1969. These young girls, they live in Vietnam, obviously. They're trying to pay off the debts of their parents back in back during those times. You had a lot of lenders that would come to villages and manipulate and con people out of their homes, and that happened to the girls' parents. So they're like, we need to help mom and dad, and these girls are, one is 17 and one is 16. They work in like a rice field or whatever. They're like farmers. So their friend comes home, I think Han, that's how you pronounce it, I think. And she looks real, pretty and neat and look like she got a little coin. And they, ask her, what's going on? And they're thinking that she works, her uncle got her a job to work in this company, with like these white people basically. And she tells the girls, well, look, you can't tell nobody, but I don't work for a white man. I work as a bar girl. And the girl's like, what is that? Oh, only thing you do, you just pour tea and you serve it to the men in the bar. So Young, she's the oldest, and she's like, is that all you do? And the girl like, yeah. And her sister Quay like, we can help our mom and dad, and we can get money. Like, let's just do this. And Young's kind of hesitant, but the sister like, I'm going with you or without you. So you make your choice. So she says, we go. So they go, and they meet the girls, and you realize that bar girls are actually, it's a form of prostitution, where you would sell tea to the man, but they would kind of get over because they would put a little bit of whiskey in the tea, and they were American GIs where they knew what they was doing. These young, Vietnamese girls, and like I said, you could drink tea with them, but they had some back rooms where you would do stuff, okay? So you have those two characters. And then the second story is about a young man named Foam, and he is a Amerasian, which you didn't know what that is a person that is mixed race. He's usually, American and Asian. And he's trying to get to America. He's trying to get, his papers and stuff, and him and his family gonna go to America. And also, too, you deal with him being an Amerasian, and specifically the fact that he's black. They call him the Dust Child because I think he's homeless, and the fact that he is, black. And you see his life, and his main thing is, I want to get to the promised land, which is America, okay? He's been trying to do that ever since he was a young man, and now he's married with two kids. I think he has a son and a daughter. And then lastly, you have a American man named Dan. Dan fought in the Vietnam War, and he is dealing with PTSD. And he's gone back with his wife Linda to Vietnam to try to not fix himself, but kind of get some closure. And you had some men that will go there for that. Also, you had some men that they fathered, children with these Asian women, and they abandoned them, and they felt kind of guilty. And they would, go back and go to Vietnam and see if they could find, the child, or, their girlfriends, or the woman, or the women that they had, slept with, basically. So those are the three characters, but it looks like Dan has not told his wife about his life in Vietnam all the way. He got some secrets. Y'all know that's up my alley. What has really intrigued me about this story, and why I wanted to read it, is the bar girls. And when I tell you, I have been researching, and I have, I'm a visual person, so I have some pictures. Well, I'll put some up on the screen, but you have some American soldiers that would, like I said, go into these bars, and they would, like I said, drink with the girls, they would sleep with the girls, they would just abuse them in every way. And in this particular picture, which if I can find it, I'll put it on the screen, where you literally have a man touching a woman's breast, a soldier touching a woman's breast. You have one in the hallway, look like he's smiling. You got one sitting down. And then this one is just like the name of the bar, Little Country Inn. And you have obviously a GI soldier and, some Vietnamese women. And these girls would make a living, out of doing that. And a lot of times you had these women, they would, have children, and they would have to give them away because they didn't want the communists to, kill their children. A lot of the women, they wouldn't keep their babies, and they did it to protect them so they wouldn't die. And then a lot of times they didn't like, mixed race children, especially if you're sleeping with, especially if your child is half American. And then you had some men, they would know that their either girlfriends or the women they slept with were pregnant, and they would just abandon them. Also, I've been watching a lot of interviews and videos on YouTube where you have mothers and daughters, especially daughters, that have been trying to find their mothers. And it was one particular one that was, it was so sad, y'all. This lady, she thought, obviously she was adopted, and she just thought, like, I was maybe a burden, or, obviously my mom gave me away for a reason. So she goes to Vietnam, and she realizes when she gets there, she meets her family, and she's like, I think these are my, my people. And she gets there, and she realizes the woman that's possibly her birth mother is no longer alive. So she takes, the DNA test or whatever, comes back home, and they realize it's a match. And they have pictures of the mom, her birth mom, and the woman looked just like her. But she was sad because she was like, my mom is not alive. But the family said, your mom has been trying to look for you for years. And when she got up on her feet, she had literally been searching for you. And it made her feel some type of way, like, okay, I wasn't a burden. My mom actually was looking for me. And they were both looking for each other. And towards the end, she came to her mom's gravesite and just was crying. Oh, y'all, when I tell you I was up in here bawling, because that one touched me. And it was another one where the mom and the daughter, the mom was actually alive. And the mom asked her, she said, I just want to know, did you have a good life? And she said, I had an excellent life. I had great birth. She said, I had great parents, but I wanted to know, my culture. And they met, they were talking, on Zoom, and then they finally met. And and her mom actually gave her up. Both of those women, their mom gave them up when they were about 2 years old. So they had like some pictures and stuff, but the reason why their moms gave them away is because, like I said, the communists was either going to kill them, or they knew the moms are so poor that they weren't going to be able to take care of their kids, because a lot of the women, they either were bar girls, or they just didn't have means to, or the man that they had been with, they just abandoned them. Okay, because a lot of times, they just used and discarded those women, a lot of the GI soldiers. But this story, it looks like I already know it's gonna be sad, clearly, especially with those girls. I really want to know um about those girls, especially the oldest one, Young. So yeah, y'all, this is her second book. She does have her first book is called the morning song. I think I'm gonna get that book. So I'm probably going to go to Barnes&Noble today. Today is Sunday, and it's 3:23, and I know Barnes&Noble closes at about 5 or 6. So I want to go. I looked online, and they do have her debut novel, The Mountain Sing, available at my Barnes&Noble. So I am going to get that. So yeah, that is the book that we are going to be reading today. Okay. And it is currently, like I said, it's 3:26, and I'm on page, well, I took my thing out, Lord. I think I'm on page 100 and something. So this book is only like 3 something. Yeah, it's like 330 or something like that. So only agenda today, Barnes&Noble. I do need to wash my hair and just read. So yeah.
I was working as a journalist in Vietnam, and I interviewed a group of American veterans who were returning to Vietnam to look for their lost children, because they had come to Vietnam as young boys, and they had casual relations with bar girls, and then they went back to the US and tried to forget, and then one day a DNA test result identified them, and they're contacted. I asked one of them, why don't you write a letter to the woman whom you walked away from? He wrote a very moving letter, and I translated it and published it here on the national newspaper of Vietnam. And can you imagine, 3 weeks after the article's publication, one woman wrote to me, and she spoke to me for 15 minutes, she asked me many questions, and then she told me she's the one in the letter. She's this one here. She sent me she still had vivid memories of their time together. And she said that when he walked away from her, she was devastated. She did not know what to do with herself. And she was a bar girl. She didn't have any money. Her parents did not know that she worked as a bar girl because she had lied to them. She had told them that she worked in an office, to be able to send money home. So she had to hide the child, so she gave the child away when the child was newborn. And she told me that for over 40 years, she hadn't told any single soul about her child and this relationship. And she talked to me, she cried so much, and she said, I've been looking for my child. What can I do to look for my child? So I connected her with people to do DNA tests. And then she wanted to see the veterans. So, they united in Vietnam. And I translated for their video meeting, and he went back to Vietnam and to meet her. So, but until today, they haven't found their daughter.
Okay, guys, so I wanted to read you the part when the young girls, Quay and, how you say her name again? Quay and Young, they talk to Hans about, becoming a bar girl. I know how hard you two have tried to find a job. Hans lowered her voice. But have you looked beyond our province? She waited for some villages to pass before continuing. I'm telling you this because you're my friends. You two can make money in Saigon. But you have your uncle there. We know no one. You don't need to know anyone, Hans smiled. You just need to look, pretty. Both of you are beautiful. I'm sure you'll do very well. But do what exactly? Quan asked. Drink Saigon tea, Hans laughed. Tea? Sit in a bar, drink Saigon tea, and earn good money. Bar, what's that? Young asked. Oh, a place that they sell liquor to American soldiers. We call them GI. You swear not to tell anyone? Not even a ghost? Quan and Young nodded. My job is not with an American company. I work in a bar. I'll go there, drink Saigon tea, and earn money. But I thought your uncle, he found me a good job, right? Wrong. I gave him some gifts so he'll keep my secret. A distant cousin had done the same and told me, Hans winked. The rest of your family knows? Quan asked. Certainly not. You're the only ones I told. Here, women were never allowed to drink with men, even at parties. And then this part got me. So she's telling you, obviously, she told him about, what she does. And she says, it's tea that you drink, right? It's mostly tea. Trust me, you'll be fine. What do you mean it's mostly tea? Young asked. I mean, it's only tea. Hans waved her hands. Listen, if you want to help your parents, think about what I've said. The bar where I work, they're looking for new girls. Okay. So, of course, they go and they know a tiny, tiny bit of English. So, and their dad was also a soldier, and he's like real low right now. He needs like some treatment for some illnesses he has, and obviously, they are in debt because they're trying to pay to get back their house and everything. And yeah, so they end up going, with Hans to Saigon, and this is in 1969. And okay, let me read you the part where the girls are like kind of schooling them on what you got to do and all that. And Quan, the youngest sister, she's real enthusiastic. She's only a year younger than her sister. And Young is real cautious and asking all the questions and stuff like that. Listen carefully. When a soldier comes into our bar, he wants to talk to a beautiful girl like you. To do that, he must buy drinks for him and Saigon tea for you. You get paid by the drinks he buys, so if he doesn't purchase a new one after a half an hour for himself and for you, tell him he should. And if he still doesn't, leave him for another guy, the tall girl said. Flirt with as many soldiers as you want, but not when they're already with another girl. Young didn't want to flirt with men. She talked to them and drink tea with them. That was all. Then it says, but Saigon tea is only tea, right? Young recalled the hesitation in Hans' voice when she explained about the tea. Well, it's supposed to be tea mixed with whiskey. That's why the price for each glass is so high, Hans giggled. The soldiers who come to our bar are Americans, and American men are easy to cheat, you see, so they're only tea in our glasses. That's why we don't get drunk, so we can flirt with many men and get them to buy lots and lots of drinks. The bar makes money, and so do we. A win-win situation. Girl. Then, okay, so they meet the madam or whatever, and she like, if y'all don't make a certain quota, y'all gotta leave. And she also, giving them the rules. And remember this, if an American wants to sleep with you, he'll need to buy a ticket from the bar counter. The price depends on the number of hours. 40% of what he pays is yours. We won't be doing that, Quay said. The madam laughed, baring her teeth, white as the tigers. Every girl who enters this place says that at first, but trust me, you won't be able to hold yourself back. If a man appears, a flock of girls race to him, clinging to his body. The man will choose someone and the rest will scatter back to their seats. Young cherry girl, he asked in Vietnamese. What? She moved away from him. Want some private time? Just you and me, he winked. She walked away, wanting to look for Quan. Shouldn't you be entertaining him? The tiger madam blocked her way, frowning at her. Young tilted her chin towards the man. He scares me, madam. No need to be afraid of me, darling. The man reached for her hand, but she stepped back. Now don't you be silly, the tiger madam waved a finger at Young. That nice young man just wants to talk to you. Talk, but he suggested a private time. And what's wrong with that? You don't even need to go far. The woman smiled, but her eyes were cold. We have private rooms in the back of the bar. You see how Nguyen Mine's writing is so like detailed, where you feel like you are at that bar. Every scene with the girls, and even with the other characters, but especially with the scene with the girls, I can like see them sitting around in that room where the other bar girls are like, giving them the 411 on what y'all supposed to do. And then even when they finally get in the bar, it's called Hollywood Bar, and you see how frightened both of them are, especially Young, because Quay end up start dancing with the man and girl. But young, you can see she wasn't asking other questions, real hesitant and cautious. And I mean, poor baby. She's only eight, what, I think 17? And yeah, and Quay is what, 16? So they're babies, okay? And their village, you know, like virginity is extremely important. You can imagine drinking tea and sleeping with them and kissing them and all that stuff. But oh Lord. Dan, like I stated before, he's back in Vietnam because he wants to he doesn't tell his wife Linda, but he's trying to find his like then girlfriend and child that he abandoned. And then also to another reason why they went to Vietnam, because he obviously struggles with PTSD like very badly. And they both go there to kind of help him a little bit, because their marriage is kind of on the rocks a little bit, because she's had to deal with that Linda for a good amount of time. And you know, PTSD, girl, them nightmares and stuff be unbelievable. And they don't have any children, so it's just those two. And he's talked a little bit about, you know, his time in Vietnam, but not a lot. Not a lot at all. So he's kind of going there to heal himself, and a little bit to kind of save his marriage, because it's looking like he indicated, if, you know, this don't work, then we might have to call it quits. It was one scene where he was, you know, he has bad nightmares, and it was one bad nightmare he had where he woke up and he had his hands on Linda's neck. And from then on, she slept in like a separate bedroom. They haven't been intimate. They also didn't have any children. It said, okay, what a pity they never been able to have children. By the time they considered adoption, Linda said she was too old to handle a young child. He should have tried to change her mind, assuring her how much he would help and that she would make a great mother. She had no siblings, and with his only sister living in Australia, he wished he had a bigger family, because Dan's home life when he was younger, his dad was an alcoholic, and so his sister became estranged from the family. And a little bit Dan had struggled with alcoholism, and y'all know, when, you know, vets, the fact that they literally fight for our country and they give them little benefits, they come back, you know, with sometimes homeless, and obviously PTSD, that's just something that's something you do with your whole entire life, okay? That you have to have therapy, and some of them can't even afford to have therapy. So Lord, you know, I mean, people forget that you were literally fighting for your life and fighting for us, and y'all just treat them like vagabonds. But he don't even talk to his sister. Really just Linda and him. And like I said, Linda doesn't really know a lot about his time in Vietnam. So yeah. The other character, Foam, which he is the Amerasian, and he doesn't know his mom or dad. They just abandoned him. He was left at a orphanage, and a nun basically raised him up. But in his scene, he's trying to get a visa. He lied and said that it's the first time he has tried to get his visa, but it wasn't, because when he was a young man, or a young boy, not even a man, let me read you the passage. Particular scene, like I said, he's a young man, and you have this this lady pretended to be his mother, like birth mother, and was crying and all that stuff, and she was like, come with me, I promise you, like, I'm telling the truth. And she actually is not. But you have a man that he wants to let me just read it to you. It says, life in America is good, but it won't be easy at first. You need a family to take care of you. You need someone who is fluent in English like me to help you. He smiled at Foam. He smiled at Foam. If you want, we can go as a family. American people are kind, you see. They sympathize with people like you. The government approved something called the Amerasian Homecoming Act, which allows Amerasians to bring families along. So this guy, he literally said, if I'll take care of you, and me and my family, you know, we'll take care of you, you know, and only thing we ask is for you to be like our adopted son. And he, like, at first he's hesitant, but then he's like, well, I don't have no place to really go, and this place has like a bathroom, a working bathroom, a bed, and everything. And you see the guy tell him, like, you can, since you are half American, you can get your visa, but you're gonna need a family, so I can help you. So he start like helping them train for like the visa interview and everything like that. He get an application, he gets it all set up. But then it don't work out. You only had one task to do to convince those American people, but you failed. Yes, you did. You destroyed my chances for a better life, and now you're blaming me. And that was actually common. The author said that you would have like people that knew those people were mixed race, and it was better chances if you had like someone that was like half American to get your visa and go to America. So you had a lot of people that did that, to try to get to America. In this case, he wanted to better his life, better his children's life. I think he had 2 daughters. And obviously he used foam to do that, and it backfired. But in the beginning of the book, you have foam trying to reapply for his visa. And like I said, he lied and said he had never done it. And they like researchers like, oh yeah, you did. And he told them the story, and it was like, okay, well, give you a blue sheet. And blue sheet means that you have not, you failed to get the visa. And when I tell you it costs a lot of money to get that, to try to reapply, even get the applications. So it took him years. And he wants to go to America to try to find his American father. As y'all can see, this storyline is really good. And this book actually came out this year. And no one talked about it. I didn't see this book. Granted, y'all know my radar be black literature, but I be knowing, some authors that are not us. I be knowing sometimes, some books. But I'm so glad that I was able to get it for half price, y'all. So I paid $15 for this because this is on the 50% off hardcover sale at Barnes&Noble. And then I did go to Barnes&Noble again today to get her first book, The Mountains Sing. And this came out in 2020, and this is her first book, her debut book. So after I finish reading this, I will read this. So yeah, guys, let me blow dry my hair and then read some more.
Man to man, how are the girls here?
Bummers.
What do you mean?
They ain't worth the damn.
Why do you patronize it?
Well, I come over here and drink beer. I got a good old lady. That's all I'm looking forward to.
How do most of the men feel about the girls as friends, as girlfriends?
As girlfriends? All right. The girls are nice people. You go ahead, sit down, talk to them. If you stay there too long, okay, you buy them a tea. But other than that, you gotta, if you're gonna stay with a girl, you gotta go ahead and break her in.
I just finished another scene with the girls, with Young and Quay, and her main thing is her virtue. And she, in the beginning, she was like, I'm not sleeping with no man, da 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 da. In the back room, she was hesitant because clearly y'all know what you do in the back room. But the madam was like, you don't have to go all the way. You know what I mean? And what she would do is they would go in the back room. He would, some hands was required. And then they would peace out. But she got word that her parents, the lenders that have basically swindled, them and taken all their money and things like that, they now have gotten into like a higher debt basically. And she comes up with this plan where she says, where is it? So normally for a ticket, it's like $6 or something. Ticket to go all the way, like for sex. And she says, if you pay me $14, we can go all the way. And how she get in is, you remember how I was telling you guys, me cherry girl, that means obviously she's a virgin. And you know, them GIs, they want a virgin. And she's like, you know, she tells him that. She says, me cherry girl, she told the man, you want long time? $20. He said, get out of here. No girl ever gets that much. She shrugged. You really cherry girl? He asked. She said, you know me, I'm no boom boom. He licked his lips, stared at her breasts. She pressed her chest closer to him. You buy long time ticket, $6. You give me remaining $14. No tell, madam. And girl, she did what she gotta do. Plus, what she start doing is she start, like when they sleeping, she starts stealing. And her thing is, she says, this is for justice. She thought if she took $2 bills, she wanted more, but feared he noticed. So I'm on foam section, and right now, after he got what do you call it, rejected for getting like his visa, he found out that since he is Amerasian, that they do like it's possible for him to be able to find his birth parents because he's American, and they do DNA tests, and it said, he said, I know this beautiful woman around your age. She made it to America. She had her father's address and photos, so she wrote him long letters. No answer. Finally, she got up the courage, traveling to his city, and went to his house. She knocked on the door. When a man opened it, she knew it was him. She told him who she was, and you know what happened? Foam shaked his head. The man slammed the door in her face. He screamed for her to get off his property. He said if she didn't leave right away, he'll call the police for trespassing. The woman had lost her father twice. The first time when he abandoned her, and the second time when he rejected her. So she had no choice but to leave. She swore never to contact her father again. For years she hoped he reached out to her, but nothing. Sad stuff like this happens, Foam, so don't get your hopes up. After that family like tricked them into getting a ticket to go to America, he went to the American Transit Center, and like they helped him with some shelter, and then he was able to he was able to like buy a plot of land. He was like a farmer, and he really loves music, and that's how he met like his wife. She ignored the whispers of neighbors and friends. She didn't care that her father and brothers disliked Foam. She told him he was a good man, and she trusted him. She previously had a boyfriend who was abusive, and in Foam she found the respect that she needed from a man. Still, when his children were born, he wanted them to have her fair skin, straight hair, and flat nose. He didn't want them to face the prejudice he had been subject to. Oh, wait. But his father's genes refused to fade. Okay. Remaining alive in his children. No. So his father is black. That's what it is, girl. His father is, his father is black and his mom is Vietnamese. Okay. So, yeah. That's what it is. But yeah, that was deep right there, because clearly he deals with colorism. In the beginning, he was trying to get a job as a dishwasher, and the people were like, "There's no way you can be hired in here." They told him that people are going to think that you are dirty and make the dishes dirty. So yeah, he's been through it, and it's even worse because of the fact that he is, part black, because obviously there's already prejudice to the Amerasians. And also this book reminds me, when it does come to that subject, is, you guys know that movie, it was Lorenz Tate and I was gonna say Smokey and Chris Tucker, named Dead Presidents. Girl, that, when I tell you that used to be my movie, okay, I need to watch that again. That's a movie where it's so crazy because the subject matter is, clearly the young boy was played by Lorenz Tate. He's like a senior, he's graduating, and instead of him going to college, he's going to, enlist. And girl, he sees some things and everything. While reading this, I thought about that, because in one of the scenes, he has nightmares. He's dealing with PTSD. He has some nightmares. The fact too that he has fought in the war and he's coming back, to America, coming back home. I believe it's in New York, where he's trying to find a job and he cannot find a job. And then the job that he gets, they end up letting him go because business is bad or whatever. And again, like one of the scenes, the one of the characters, I think his name was Cuddy, he was like, people forget that you almost get, your head blown off, to protect you or whatever. So by reading this, it did remind me of Dead Presidents. If you guys have seen it, if you guys haven't seen it, I really recommend you see it, because you get a take. It's not just fully about the Vietnam War, no, but you do get a take of how black men, when they were enlisted, how they dealt with it during the time, how they dealt with it, how the aftermath of them coming back home, and the fact that he had to, in order for him to make money, he did something. I don't want to give it away, okay? And it didn't end well at all. Not at all. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend you watch it because it's real good. Let me get back to this because this is good and I need to hurry up. Because I got like 2 more hours. And yeah, we're making good progress.
There's a part of it that still hurts, and I miss her. I miss her terribly.
Explain that to me. How do you miss someone that you certainly couldn't even remember?
I miss the idea of having her in my life. The fact that she kept me for a couple years before she gave me up, to me, tells me that she loved me very much, and she tried. She did what she could.
This is the right family. The No Tay Diep, who may be her mother, died of cancer. Stacy has a great likeness to her mother, says Uncle Hai. Her aunt says her mother always missed her, that she tried all her life to find her.
Please tell them that I'm sorry, that I'm too late to meet her.
I know I didn't look like it, but it made me extremely happy. I got a lot of answers at that moment.
Like?
Thought of me, that I wasn't just an accident. I wasn't an inconvenience.
Y'all see I'm crying. Oh my gosh, this book. Oh Lord. Okay, y'all. So I finished this last night and I couldn't even give you guys my thoughts. I literally had to sit with it for a couple hours. And that past clip that you saw, that was me this morning rereading a section because I was outdone, and y'all saw I was literally crying. This is beyond a 5-star. You guys know if I read a book and I'm like, y'all need to get this, y'all need to get this. But y'all need to get this. Y'all have to get this. This is unbelievable. I have read some good books this year, really have. And I lightweight kind of had the same feeling like I had when I read Yellow Wife. And y'all know that's my junk right there, okay? And this year, like I said, this year I've read some really good books. So far, I would say my top book for this year was The House of Eve by Sudika Johnson, of course. But while I was driving back home, I'm thinking, oh Lord, is this... I'm going to say right now it's neck and neck. Okay, it's even, because I want to pick this back up again and reread it like I did Yellow Wife. Also, like I did The House of Eve, okay? And I will be getting another copy because, y'all, I have tabbed it. I have wrote in it, highlighted it and everything. And I want to go back and even highlight some more. she throws a curveball at you. I thought, especially with them sisters, then all the characters, those three characters, they connect in a way, and this book you're not going to figure out. You're literally not going to figure out, because you think, oh, okay, of course, and it's like, oh wait, what? That was my reaction. And the fact that I did not know about anything with the Vietnam War, knew, like I said, a tiny bit. Didn't know anything about Amerasians. Didn't know, the story behind it. Didn't know the fact that you had a lot of children that were conceived during that time, and you had men that either didn't know, you had men that did know, and they just walked away because they like, I ain't gonna deal with this. And also too, you had these women where they were in beyond tough situations where they could not take care of their children, so that's why they had to give them away, and give them to orphanages, or sometimes they were like, well, if I had a baby by American, like, they're going to be ostracized, killed. And they knew that their culture, they didn't obviously want them to be with any white Americans. Lord, this just was, oh my goodness, I can't even explain it. And the fact that I didn't know anything about this culture, and about this time in our history, yeah. And this book, actually, the author was saying this is like the first book that really highlights and talks about Amerasians. And also, this book, it's not traumatizing at all. And it sounds, and I feel like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not, y'all, because you have Dan, who deals with PTSD, but the way that she does it, like, he talk a little bit about it, and it's like, okay. And then even with the bars girls, it's a form of prostitution, like she said in her story, in her interview, she said this is not a victim story. These girls, of course the circumstances were horrible, but those girls, those sisters, they were like, look, we're here to pay off our parents' debt, and as soon as we do that, we out this joint, you know what I mean? And they knew, we're not going to be doing this forever. And of course it's horrible, but what were they going to do? Those girls were not educated, they couldn't finish high school, and then the backdrop is a war. Can you imagine walking down the street and you're hearing bombs and planes and people screaming and all that every single day? The author said when she was a little girl, she literally was walking to school and she saw a mom had hung herself. And the reason why she hung herself is because her two sons were killed in the war. So can you imagine your baby walking and saying that? Or you walking and seeing that? So yeah, those girls did what they had to do. And also the young Amerasian man, Foam, who was black and Vietnamese, he was homeless. He struggled. And you already know him, since he was half black, it was going to be discrimination. I mean, the fact that it was discrimination if you were American and Vietnamese. So can you imagine being black in that? Girl. And he wasn't a victim. He didn't harp on his situation. It sucked, like he said. And the fact that I have to go through this. But it was like, look, this is the cards that I'm dealt with. I have to make my situation, I have to do something to live. And that's exactly what he did. So this book, although the backdrop is Vietnam War and the bar girls and things like that, not overwhelming. And I can appreciate that, because sometimes it's like, girl, come on now. Life is already hard as it is. But you would think with the Vietnam War being that subject, it's going to just be tough. No, of course I was crying, because I'm like, oh my goodness, my baby. Lord, my baby. But the way it ended was perfect. It was perfect. It was realistic. And although it was semi kind of, no, it wasn't tied into a nice, neat bow, but it was necessary. And I could appreciate that. Also, it was realistic. And you're entertained and you're learning, which is, like I said, the beauty of books. Yeah. Y'all, please read this and get this. I will be getting another copy of this, y'all know, because I have to have a pretty copy. And the good thing is that sale from Barnes&Noble is still going on, the 50% off selected hardcover sales. And instead of paying $28, you go pay about $15. And then this is her second book that actually came out March of this year. Had no idea. But her debut book, The Mountain Sing, came out in 2020. And this, they said, if you like Pachinko and Ya Jesse's Homegoing, you will like this. Is a family saga. It's about 4 generations. It's set in the it's looks like it's set in 1920. Okay, it says the backdrop of Vietnam War. Lane, who was born in 1920, was forced to flee her family farm with her 6 children during the land reform as the communist government rise. Years later, her young granddaughter comes of age as her parents and uncles head off down to fight in a conflict that tears apart not just her beloved country, but also her family. Now, I know I'm really going to like this because it's a family saga and it's 4 generations. And then they did, when they mentioned those 2 books, like I said before, I've never read Pachinko, but I did watch the series and I really did like it, which is like, girl, that don't really count, but you know what I mean. I get the gist of the story. And then I did read Jesse's book, Homegoing, and loved it. So, and like I said, I love family sagas. And the good thing about this is, girl, although Pachinko like 600 pages, something like this book is only what? Wait. This book is 339. So that's good. Y'all know, since I'm on this kick about reading books in a day, yeah, I'm probably gonna read this next. I was talking all that nonsense about, I gotta finish my TBR and all that, which clearly I'm still doing that because y'all know my books are, it's scheduled. I have thrown 2 books that have not been on my TBR and about to throw another one in, so 3 books. But I'm having a blast. And yeah, I will be reading this again and highlighting even more because y'all. And I'm, again, so geeked that I have learned something new. Yeah, guys, that's all I have for this video. And again, pick this up, okay? I will be reading this next. I don't think I'm going to do a reading blog on this. But this, pick it up, please. Please, please, please pick it up. So, yeah, guys, that's all I have for you. And I'll be back with more Black Books. Bye.
Ships would come in, these whole shiploads of men would get off, and they'd go right straight to these government-sanctioned whorehouses, get $3 for 3 minutes. I was, even though I was aware that that stuff had happened, it just really shocked me that it was right there in our unit. Each unit in Benoit had a whorehouse. And there were hundreds of units there like ours. Anyway, that's another little dark secret of Vietnam. I don't hear the government talking about their on-the-base whores. Women. I felt so sorry for the women. I've got just a few more minutes and I'll tell you, looking at those women, not one of them had a look of smile or inviting. They all looked ashamed. They all sat there holding their hands over their cleavage, and trying to cover themselves up as best they could. Some of them didn't have anything to cover up anyway. They were just children, little girls, probably 12, 13, 14 years old. And I was just, I didn't know what to think about that. But they all looked like, to me, having sex with one of them would have been more like rape than, because they didn't want to be there. They were going to do it for survival, for money. And it just, you know what else? I got just a minute. They wound up while we were going into country, we went to a class where they talked about the Vietnamese culture and how proud these people were, how Christian, how Buddhist, how family-oriented, and that we should be highly respectful of them and so forth. And then our own government, our own army, the same people that had given us that lecture, turn right around and go out in the streets of Saigon in these poor sections of town and give us your daughters. You got a mama son, or they didn't call it mama son, but you got a mama that's over past her prime, bring her in.